economy of Kenya explained. Kenya is an East African country that borders the Indian Ocean and Lake Victoria. Ethiopia, Somalia, South Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda are all its neighbors. Kenya's unique physiography, which ranges from highlands to glaciers, supports a diverse range of species of scientific and economic worth. The government system is a republic. The chief of state and head of state is the president. The economy of Kenya is a market-based economy with a few state enterprises. Major industries include agriculture, forestry, fishing, mining, manufacturing, energy, tourism, and financial services. The country has a well-developed social and physical infrastructure in comparison to its neighbors. Before we continue the exploration of the economy of Kenya, if you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and turn notifications so you don't miss out on any of our videos. Agriculture. Agriculture plays an important role in Kenya's economy. Although its share of GDP has declined from more than 2/5 in 1964 to less than 1/5 in the early 21st century, agriculture supplies the manufacturing sector with raw materials and generates tax revenue and foreign exchange that support the rest of the economy. Moreover, it employs the majority of the population. Also, the sector dominates the Kenyan economy, accounting for over 40% of the overall workforce and about 25% of the annual workforce. The country's major agricultural exports are tea, coffee, cut flowers, and vegetables. Kenya is the world's leading exporter of black tea and cut flowers. Kenya's high rainfall areas constitute about 10% of Kenya's arable land and produce 70% of its national commercial agricultural output. Farmers in the semi-arid regions produce about 20% of the output, while the arid regions account for the remaining 10% of the output. However, productivity remains relatively low in all the regions due to poor incentives and underdeveloped supporting infrastructure and institutions. Since 2013, Kenya has been undertaking agricultural sector reforms that are expected to spur growth. A new regulatory framework arising from the consolidation and harmonization of the sectoral laws is under implementation. Transport. The transportation industry sector in Kenya comprises a wide range of service providers, covering all modes of transport like road, air, rail, sea, as well as related services such as warehousing, handling, stevedoring, and finally, value-added services like packaging, labeling, and assembling. Kenya's current road network inventory is estimated at 177,500 kilometers, comprising 63,000 kilometers classified roads and 114,500 of unclassified roads administered by various government departments. This includes national roads, district roads, urban roads, and special roads, which are administered by the Roads Department, District Roads Committee and County Councils, city and municipal councils, and various government agencies such as Kenya Wildlife Services and the Forest Department respectively. The Ministry of Transport is in charge of the overall policy on the transport sector, while the Ministry of Roads and Public Works formulate the road subsector policy. Railways, the second most important mode of transport after roads, are operated by Kenya Railways. The main line runs northwest from Mombasa through Nairobi, Nakuru, and Eldoret to the Ugandan border. Major branch lines run from Nakuru to Kisumu on Lake Victoria and from Nairobi to Nanyuki near Mount Kenya, and another goes into Tanzania. However, privatization of Kenya Railways began early in the 21st century, and efforts were undertaken to make the railways more competitive in the freight market. Passenger service constitutes a very small share of railway business. On air transport, the strategic location of Kenya on the western shores of the Indian Ocean, with easy connections to different parts of Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, has greatly enhanced the role of the international airports at Nairobi and Mombasa. Another international airport is located at Eldoret. There are domestic airports at Kisumu and Malindi, and many smaller airfields throughout the country. While on sea transport, Mombasa, the country's principal port, handles the bulk of the import and export traffic, not only that of Kenya, but of Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, and the eastern part of the DRC. The ports of Lamu and Malindi serve mainly the coastal trade and fisheries. Manufacturing. Kenya is the most industrially developed country in East Africa, but it has not yet produced results to match its potential. Manufacturing is based largely on processing imported goods, although the government supports the development of export-oriented industries. Major industries include agricultural processing, publishing and printing, and the manufacture of textiles and clothing, cement, tires, batteries, paper, ceramics, and leather goods. Assembly plants which utilize imported parts produce various kinds of commercial and passenger vehicles, and even export a small quantity to other African countries like Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi. Also, steel processing for export and for the construction industry is a growing sector, with about a dozen steel mills in operation. The petroleum industry, which was deregulated in 1994, produces diesel and jet fuel from imported crude oil at a refinery near Mombasa and provides a major source of foreign exchange. Energy. Kenya has one of the most developed power sectors in sub-Saharan Africa, with an active private sector, a strong national power utility, and abundant renewable energy resources, especially geothermal, wind, and solar. The energy sector in Kenya is largely dominated by petroleum and electricity, with wood fuel providing the basic energy needs of the rural communities, urban poor, and the informal sector. An analysis of the national energy shows heavy dependency on wood fuel and other biomass that accounts for 68% of the total energy consumption. Kenya now has a total installed capacity of 2,990 megawatts. The majority of electricity comes from hydro and fossil fuel sources. Hydropower accounts for 838 megawatts, geothermal for 863 megawatts, biogas cogeneration for 2%, wind for 437 megawatts, and solar for 173 megawatts in this generation energy mix. However, by the end of 2021, 8.6 million Kenyan households had been linked to the grid. That is more than 75% of the population. Tourism. Tourism in Kenya is the second largest source of foreign exchange revenue following agriculture. The Kenya Tourism Board is responsible for maintaining information pertaining to tourism in Kenya. Kenya has many tourist attractions, ranging from the sandy beaches at the coast, diverse flora and fauna, game parks, cultural heritage, scenic landscapes, just to name a few. Nairobi National Park is located within the city limits of Nairobi. The popular Giraffe Center is also nearby, where tourists may view and even feed the giraffes. The National Museum, Amboseli National Park, Lake Nakuru, Hell's Gate, and Tsavo East and West National Parks are among the other attractions. The yellow wildebeest migration at the Masai Mara is also a popular tourist attraction in Kenya. It's a sight to behold, and it's been dubbed the world's seventh wonder. The country's magic is embedded everywhere you look, from wandering majestic elephants to its breathtaking mountains, forests, and secluded waterfalls. The land is diverse, offering desert patches alongside snow-capped mountains, valleys, and volcanoes, with beautiful beaches whose dark blue waters are home to colorful coral reefs. Mining and minerals. Kenya has no significant mineral endowment, The mining and quarrying sector makes a negligible contribution to the economy, accounting for less than 1% of GDP. The majority of this is contributed by the soda ash operation at Lake Magadi in south-central Kenya. Thanks largely to rising soda ash output, Kenya's mineral production in 2005 reached more than 1 million tons. One of Kenya's largest foreign investment projects in recent Kenya is the plant expansion of Magadi Soda. Apart from soda ash, the chief minerals produced are limestone, gold, salt, large quantities of niobium, fluorspar, and fossil fuel. All unextracted minerals are government property under the Mining Act. The Department of Mines and Geology under the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources controls exploration and exploitation of minerals. External debt. As with many African countries, Kenya's precarious debt situation has been exposed by the COVID-19 crisis. Though alarm bells about the country's high debt levels had sounded earlier, it is during the pandemic that IMF declared Kenya at high risk of external debt distress. After initially holding back, Kenya finally joined the G20 debt suspension initiative in order to defer some of its external debt payments, potentially up to $630 million, while committing to utilize the freed resources for crisis-related spending. Throughout the decade, Kenya's external debt has been approximately half of its total debt stock. As of September 2022, Kenya's external public debt stood at 51.4% of its total debt stock of 7.1 trillion Kenyan shillings, a slight increase from the 48.6% in 2011. In 2020, the external debt composition was 39.3% for multilateral debt, 29.7% for bilateral debt, and 30.5% for commercial debt. This is a shift from 2019, when commercial debt surpassed multilateral debt, and 2015, when bilateral debt exceeded both commercial and multilateral debt. And as of June 2021, the external debt from Kenya accumulated to roughly $35.3 billion. The value was equivalent to 52% of the country's total debt. Foreign economic relations. Since independence, Kenya has received both substantial foreign investment and significant amounts of development aid. Total aid was $943 million in 2006, which was 4% of gross national income. These investments come from Russia, China, and developed Western countries, and Japan. Kenya hosts a large number of foreign multinational companies, as well as international organizations, such as United Nations Environment Programme and many other non-governmental organizations. China's involvement has been increasing, while that of Western countries, such as the UK, has fallen significantly. Investments from multilateral agencies, particularly the World Bank and the European Development Fund, have increased. However, the most active investors currently are the Chinese. Also, Kenya is active within regional trade blocs, such as the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa and the East African Community, a partnership of Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and South Sudan. The aim of the EAC is to create a common market of its member states modeled on the European Union. Among the early steps towards integration is the Customs Union, which has eliminated duties on goods and non-tariff trade barriers among the members. External trade. In the 6 months running up to June 2021, Kenya's external trade climbed by 24.3%. The growth in the country's international trade from last year is largely attributable to the rebounding global and macroeconomic conditions as the world re-emerges from COVID-19 related disruptions. Imports into Kenya have grown by a greater 27.7%, with exports growing at a slower rate of 16.3% last year. Uganda was Kenya's largest export destination. Other top export destinations for Kenya include the UK, Pakistan, Egypt, Germany, Rwanda, the UAE, and France. Food and beverages represent 42.3% of Kenyan exports last year, while other consumer goods and non-food industrial supplies were at 27.9% and 25.8% respectively. On the flip side, China has maintained its stranglehold on Kenyan imports. Other leading import sources for Kenya by order of value include India, the UAE, Japan, Saudi Arabia, the US, Netherlands, South Africa, Germany, the UK, and France. An estimate of 39% of the imports compose of industrial supplies. 16.1% of the others cover fuel and lubricants, machinery, and capital equipment covers 14.3% of the imports, while 10.4% of the others are food and beverages. Foreign investment. Kenya has a positive investment climate that has made it attractive to international firms seeking a location for regional or pan-African operations. The novel coronavirus pandemic has affected the short-term economic outlook, but the country remains resilient in addressing the health and economic challenges. In July 2020, the US and Kenya launched negotiations for a free trade agreement, the first in sub-Saharan Africa. In the World Bank's 2020 Doing Business report, Kenya improved 7 places, ranking 56 out of 190 economies reviewed. In the last 3 years, it has moved up 54 places on this index. Year on year, Kenya continues to improve its regulatory framework and its attractiveness as a destination for foreign direct investment. Despite this progress in the ease of doing business rankings, US businesses operating in Kenya still face aggressive tax collection attempts and significant bureaucratic processes and delays in issuing necessary business licenses. Corruption remains endemic, and Transparency International's 2019 Global Corruption Perception Index ranked Kenya 137 out of 198 countries, worsening by 7 spots compared to 2018. However, Kenya's membership in the East African Community, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, and other regional trade blocs provides growing access to larger regional markets. There you have it. That was the economy of Kenya explained. Which other country's economy do you want us to talk about? Please drop it in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, like, and also share it with your friends.